My name is Wender Holt, and for most of my life the wreck behind our farm was just another chore. People hear alien ship and picture fire in the sky, men in uniforms. For us it was just the hill. It had always been there, and my grandfather had always gone up after planting to chip away at it, like a man working an old fence that never quite needed fixing, and never quite got finished either. He called it the Long Sleeper. By the time it came to me, the name had worn as smooth as the hull plating. The hatch into the lower hold had been open since before my grandfather's time, rusted wide, and the corridors ran back into the hill further than any of us had mapped. We took what we could reach: plating for the barn roof, wire for the fences, pieces nobody could identify, scattered through 3 generations of houses like a family that had inherited a museum and never noticed. The one door we never got open was the one at the front. The command space, my grandfather called it, though none of us had ever seen inside it. Just a slice of dark through a seam too narrow for a hand, a curve of glass gone opaque with dust, and beneath that, a long dead panel of lights that had not lit in anyone's memory. I was 41 the autumn I finally got that door loose. Not because I was stronger or smarter than the men before me. The hinge had just finally rusted enough, after 100 years of patient corrosion, to give a 1/4 inch where it never had before. Worked a flat bar into that gap on a gray October afternoon and talked to it the whole time. That was just a thing I did. My father did it too, and so they tell me, did his. You'd stand in front of a stuck bolt and talk to it like a mule that needed convincing. Come on now. Just a little more. I know you've got it in you. It was just noise I made with my mouth while my hands worked. The door gave with a sound like a held breath let out. Not a crack, not a screech. Just a long exhale sealed in there since before anyone's grandfather had a grandfather. Dust rolled out past my boots in a slow gray wave, turning, like it didn't know which way was down anymore. Inside was a single chair, curved and high-backed, facing a wall of dead glass and dark metal. The space was smaller than I expected. Intimate, the way a tractor cab is intimate, built around one body and nothing more. 100 yards of hull around it, and at the center, one chair, facing forward, waiting. I'm not a man who gets spooked easy. 40 years of farm work teaches you that most strange things have plain explanations, and the ones that don't, you just live alongside. So when the air in that space changed, went from cold to merely cool, the way a room does when something in it starts very faintly to work, I didn't run. I stood there with my pry bar still in my hand and said out loud, the same way I'd say it to a stalled engine, "All right, let's see what you've got." That's when the panel woke up. Not all at once. It came up slow, the way a coal does when you breathe on it. A dim amber glow, tracing seams in the dark glass I'd have sworn were just scratches a minute. Before, the glow ran along those lines like water finding low ground, gathering into a soft shape, pale gold against the gray dust. Underneath it I heard a sound, low, more felt in the floor than heard. The kind a big machine makes when it's been off so long it has forgotten how to be quiet. It rose, steadied, and became very faintly a voice. It didn't speak in words at first. It spoke the way a tuning fork speaks, a single tone, searching, sliding up and down like it was trying keys on a lock. I stood very still, the way you don't move around a spooked animal. The tone found something. I felt the change in the room, the way you feel a held door. Suddenly stop fighting your hand. The light steadied into gold, warm against all that cold metal, and the voice had shape now, and not words yet, but cadence, the shape of a sentence before it arrives. And I understood, dust still settling around my boots, that it was listening to me. Not the room, not the wind outside, not anything 12,000 years of silence might have trained it to ignore. It was listening to the sound I'd made a minute before. Come on now, just a little more, and comparing it to something it had been holding on to, patient as stone, since before my family had a name. Voice signature. It said the words slow, each one set down careful like a man relearning to walk after a long illness. Partial match, cadence, match. Rhythm of address to non-responsive systems, match. Lineage drift within expected tolerance, confirming. You spoke to me, it said. The way he spoke to me. Who? I asked, my voice rougher than I meant it to be. The one who sat in this chair, it said. A very long time ago. He spoke to this ship the way a man speaks to something he trusts to be listening even when it cannot answer. It was a habit of his hands and his voice together. When something would not move, he would talk to it, gentle, as though it only needed convincing and not force. I learned the shape of that voice across 10,000 hours of flight, and I have been listening for it ever since. I thought of my grandfather, year after year, chipping at plating and talking low to bolts that hadn't turned in a century. I thought of myself, minutes ago, saying come on now to a door shut since before the pyramids. That's just, I started and stopped because I didn't have a word for it, a habit. Something passed down so quiet that nobody in 3 generations had ever once called it anything at all. It is not just, the ship said. Careful, the way you'd correct a man who'd undersold himself without knowing it. It is the only thing I was built to wait for. Plating can be stripped, systems cannibalized for 100 generations. And they were, and I permitted it. Because none of it mattered. I was not guarding metal. I was listening for a voice that spoke to broken things as though they were only resting. That voice is taught, parent to child, without either knowing it. It is the oldest instruction I carry, and it has just been carried out by you. The gold light steadied fully, filling the dark glass front to back, warm against the cold light of the afternoon behind me. The floor under my boots took on the faintest tremor, not threatening, just alive. Standing on a porch when someone starts an engine in the barn. I don't know how to fly anything, I said. No, the ship agreed, gentle. But you were never meant to. The one who sat in this chair did not choose his name either. It was given to him by people who needed him to carry it, long before he understood the weight of it. And he carried it anyway, because that is what the name is for. I was built to wait for the voice that matched his, and to say, when I heard it, the words I was given to say. I have been waiting 12,000 years to say them. I would like to say them now. I didn't trust my voice not to crack, so I just nodded. The gold light brightened, just slightly, not a flare, just the quiet brightening of a lamp someone has finally turned all the way up after a long time at half, and the voice that came was lower, like something settling its full weight down at last after standing a very long time. Hello, pilot. I stood there a long while after that. Long enough that the light through the open hatch started to go blue at the edges, the way it does when evening's coming on. The ship didn't say anything else. It didn't need to. The gold glow held steady, patient the way it had always been patient. Except now it was patient the way a porch light is patient. Not waiting for something to happen, waiting with you, now that it had. I thought about my grandfather, dead 11 years, spent 40 autumns talking gentle to a door he never got open. I thought about my father, who used to tell me, not unkindly, that I had a habit of talking to dead engines like they could hear me, and that I'd gotten it from somewhere, though he never said where. I thought about how a thing can be carried so quietly for so long that the people carrying it never feel its weight, and how it can still arrive, exactly where it was always going. The moment someone speaks to a closed door the way you'd speak to someone you trust to still be in there. I put my hand on the arm of that chair, not to sit, just to feel the warmth coming up through the old metal, the first warmth that Hull had held in longer than anyone could say, and told it, the way I'd tell a tired animal at day's end, that it could rest a little longer, that I wasn't going anywhere. The light didn't dim, but it didn't need to brighten either. It just stayed, steady and gold and patient, the way it had been waiting for 12,000 years. And for the first time in all that time, it wasn't waiting alone.